What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Before I get started, I want to say thank you to all you guys. You guys showed me so much love. I went into the Giants stream earlier when they were showing the training camp portion, and I'll definitely be live streaming it once it's televised, I think on the 29th as well as the 5th. So we'll definitely get to go over that together. Hopefully we have a lot of fun doing it. But I want to say thank you to all you guys for all the love that you guys always show me. I was definitely taken aback with everybody that said hello to me when I jumped into the live stream. But I wanted to kind of jump into a story today, and I'm not going to pull up the quotes. I'm just going to give my opinion on it. That came out, I saw it on Giants Wire. It was initially reported by the New York Post, talking about Daniel Jones' arm strength. And I'll read the quote. You know, it's to my left right here. I'll read the quote, but really encouraging stuff. And I remember when Daniel Jones was first drafted, it was reported that he had, average to slightly below average arm strength. And even last year, I was surprised to see that I thought he had better arm strength than I initially anticipated from what all the scouts had said, from what people had, had stated. But when you went back and looked at the college film, you saw he had pretty good arm strength and he had the willingness to take hits. That's what jumped out to me more so than anything else. Schuplinski was with the New England Patriots 2 years ago when Daniel Jones was drafted, and we all remember the reports that come out that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots were potentially interested in bringing Daniel Jones in, which is why Schuplinski in this article went on to say that he was part of the scouting process of Daniel Jones. He remembers him 2 years ago coming out of college, and he is beyond impressed and sees a dramatic improvement in his arm strength. And we'll get into the exact quote. But what is the biggest reason for the improved arm strength? Well, you could probably certainly point to the fact that he worked out this offseason, right? He looks like a different man. We heard the reports that he put on 9 pounds of muscle, and maybe that's going to help him with holding onto the football. But more importantly, maybe it'll help him with arm strength. And maybe he'll be able to fit that ball into that tight window in double coverage, things like that. He was actually pretty good in that aspect last year. If there's one thing I think Daniel Jones needs to improve on, and it's something that he talked about, is the pocket awareness and also the ability to realize when to give up on a play. Check the ball down. You don't always need to try to throw the ball 15, 20 yards down the field. Brett Coleman did a great job in his video when I had him on. We talked about it, where there were, he pointed out a play where Saquon Barkley was open in the flat and he tried to force the ball into double coverage, and that wasn't one play. He did that a number of times this year, and I want to see Daniel Jones try to do that more so this year, and Schuplinski kind of talked about that. As far as Schuplinski goes, when people ask me about my favorite coach on this staff, outside of Joe Judge, of course, the coaches underneath him, I commonly say Schuplinski's name, one of my 2 or 3 favorite coaches, and the biggest reason why is because the things that people have said about him in the past. One, he's a teacher. He's a great teacher. That's what everyone says, a very smart guy, and he's a guy that is known to dummy down the playbook for young quarterbacks. You go back, you look at the things I pulled up in the past in my videos. Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, they came out and they gave him tons of credit for making their transition into a new playbook much simpler. And it's the same thing here for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, even though he's a second-year quarterback, is a rookie to this offense. And having a guy like Jerry Schuplinski that should be able to explain it easily will definitely help Daniel Jones and his maturation, along with Cooper Rush, who has played in Jason Garrett's offense before. So I think Daniel Jones has a lot of good guys in that quarterback room that should help him out and learn this system as quickly as possible. But he really went on to harp on the arm strength. And I wanted to read this quote for you guys real quick. This is what he had to say. I've noticed his arm looks strong to me. I did some work with him when he was coming out in the draft when I was at a different place, and it looked good. It looks even stronger now. I don't know if that's a testament to his work in the offseason and what he's been doing. That's one thing that jumped out to me, Schuplinski told reporters on Sunday. And there's a number of reasons why, his arm may be stronger. It could have to do with the fact that he's worked out, he's put on muscle, or it could have to do with his improved technique and his improved footwork. Of course, it's just like baseball. Your lower half is what drives the ball, and it's the same thing with throwing a football. So, and we saw the calves, of course, but maybe his footwork's gotten better, and Schuplinski kind of talked about that here. I think as quarterbacks continue to grow, they build good fundamentals, get their hips and their lower body involved. That could increase it a little bit. That's something that's been a little eye-opening to me working with Daniel Jones on the field. So there you go. Schuplinski talks about the arm strength, and of course, that could only help. Daniel Jones is pretty accurate. We saw that last year in his ability to fit the ball into tight windows. I think he had about a 62% completion percentage, but his receivers didn't create the most separation, and Daniel Jones didn't check the ball down. If he checks the ball down more this year, gets the ball to Saquon Barkley out in the flat, that should only help the completion percentage, which Schuplinski later went on to talk about why, they're trying to help Daniel Jones out in that completion percentage department. And if Jones is smarter with the football this year, gets the ball out quicker, which Schuplinski later went on to talk about, how it's not always the offensive line's fault. Sometimes you got to get the ball out quicker. As a matter of fact, I'll read you guys the quote real quick. Completion percentage is important. I think the accuracy part of that is involved with the completion percentage. Sometimes you can't go totally off of that. A throw could be a good throw and it's a drop. Sometimes it's a catch, but it's a crappy throw behind him. I think the main thing we're probably trying to look at is we're going to the right spot with the ball based on what the coverage is giving us. And that speaks to what Brett Coleman and myself talked about when we did that live stream, and really what I talked about in every live stream last year when I was watching Giant games. Picking your shots, but at the same time, sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you. Are we getting the ball out of our hands quick enough? Sacks play a role in that. Pressures, it's not always on the line or the backs or whatever the protection is. It's up to us to get the ball out quick too. And that's something that he needs to work on. There's no doubt about it, and I think he will. And I'm glad that Jerry Schuplinski is harping on that because it was something that was noticeable last year, that Jones sometimes would try to make big plays when he should just take what the defense gives him, get the ball out quicker. That alone will help in his interceptions as well as his fumbles. He fumbled the ball 18 times last year. Getting the ball out quicker, knowing when to get rid of the ball before the defense gets to you should only help. But the fact that his arm has, he's harped on the arm strength and talked about how Daniel Jones' arm is noticeably better is nothing but encouraging things going into the season. And everything that I've heard about Daniel Jones, you've got to be beyond encouraged by it. I mean, going into the offseason, his work ethic, his leadership off the field, and now you're hearing that his arm strength is significantly better. How will it transition on the field? Who knows? Arm strength's not the most important thing. Everybody knows that. You can have a golden arm, doesn't always attribute to success, right? To me, the most important thing is accuracy, and I think Daniel Jones has that. Just has to get, maybe make smarter decisions. You don't always have to try to make the big play, and I think he'll do that in this offense, and it's what Schuplinski talked about in this article. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.